Hey guys, this is kind of a companion lesson for the one you just watched, which was percent increase. We're now going to take a look at percent decrease, which is ideally the same. We're still calculating it the same way, except now it's decrease instead of an increase. So you're going to notice that this looks very similar to what we talked about in the last video. So we have our vocab. The percent decrease refers to how much the original price is decreased or discounted. A loss, we call it a loss if you sell an item below what you paid for it or the wholesale price, the cost to you. All right. So again, we're solving this using proportions. So the loss or the amount of the decrease goes over our original amount, and that will give us the percent decrease over 100, percentage over 100. So you'll notice again, it's set up very much the same way that we set up our other one as well. So we'll take a look at that with a problem. So here our problem says, at the beginning of the year, Paul could run the full length of the basketball court in 10 seconds. By the end of the year, he could run it in 7.5 seconds. So what is the percent decrease in his running time? So he got faster, so his time went down. So this is a percent decrease instead of a percent increase. So again, it's still going to be the difference in those two numbers over our original number. So I'm going to subtract those two. 10 minus 7.5. 10 was his original number, is equal to our percent over 100. Well, they didn't give us the percent. That's what we're solving for, so we plugged in an x. So when I do that subtraction, I wind up with 2.5 over 10. So again, we're just going to cross multiply and solve, and we'll see that it was a 25% decrease in his time. All right, so we'll work through a few of those examples. So again, this looks very similar to the ones yesterday, except now we're decreasing instead of increasing. So if you look at the first number that they give me is my original price. I went from 5 to 4, so that's a $1 difference. And I'm solving for my percent. I don't know what the percent decrease is. So the first two I'm solving for the percent decrease. Here you'll notice we're looking for what the loss was or what was the decrease, how much money did they lose. So again, we're going to do our cross multiplication. And when we solve, we find that is a 20% decrease from $5 to $4. It was only $1, so it doesn't seem like it might have been that much, but it's really the numbers that make the difference. 20% decrease. Okay, again here, from 0.7, so that makes that my original number, to here. So I need to subtract my two numbers. And again, I would use a calculator, but I just want to kind of review to make sure we're paying attention and remember how to do this. Our decimals line up. I'm going to have to borrow here. So my difference, or my change, is 0.63. I'm solving for my percent. That goes over 100. So again, we're going to do our cross multiplication. And when we solve this, I believe it's 90%, but I'm going to check that with my calculator. It is indeed 90%. So that was a 90% decrease between those two numbers. So here, we're solving instead for this number up here. What was the change in price, or what was the decrease in price? So when it says cost, that means my original cost. That always goes on the bottom. My percentage always goes over 100. And I'm solving for that, the decrease. So again, we're just going to solve our proportion. And again, you'll notice I'm not going over to how to solve proportions. If you're still struggling with that, please rewatch the videos again. All right, what I notice here, though, is we're dealing with money, and I have an extra decimal place. So I'm just going to round that off, and I'm going to call my answer 1348. Because whenever it goes beyond, remember, when you're dealing with money, we only go to the hundredth spot. So I'm just going to round that number off to the nearest hundredth, because in money, you don't, I mean, when they put things on sale at the stores, they don't tell you how many thousandths of a dollar it is, okay? So we're just going to round it off since we're dealing with money. So here, same thing, cost is my bottom number. That's my original cost. My percent always goes over 100. So I'm solving for what that decrease is. How much did it go down? So again, we're going to do our cross multiplication. And I'm going to use my calculator. 79.25 times 3.4. And then we're going to solve for our unknown. And again, you're going to notice I have extra decimal places. Well, remember, we're dealing with money, so I'm going to round it off to the nearest hundredth. And I find out that the decrease would be about $2.69. All right. The final one, again, very similar to what we did yesterday. It's a word problem. We're going to need to figure out what it's asking us for. So a runner ran 1 mile in 11 minutes. A year later, she ran 1 mile in 8 minutes. What is her percent decrease in time? So here, I don't have to do any extra calculations. I just need to figure out the percent of her decrease. Okay? It's not giving me the percent. So remember, it's always the difference over the original. So the difference between 11 and 8 is 3. Taking 11, I'm subtracting 8. And always just subtract the smaller from the larger. We don't want negative numbers when we're doing this. Her original time was the 11 minutes. Now we can just go about solving our equation, or our proportion. And we find out, I'm actually going to wind up with a repeating decimal, so I'm going to write it over here so I don't run out of room. And you know what, instead of writing those, I'm going to make the squiggly equals because it's going to be an approximation. Or actually, no, here. We can do equals, and then we'll review repeating decimals. The 27 repeats, so I'm just going to draw the bar over it, and then that's actually exactly what it is, rather than rounding where I would use my approximately. So it was about 27%. All right? If I'm giving you that on a quiz or a test, I'll specify what I want you to round to if it doesn't work out evenly. So again, if you have questions, you can always rewatch the video. You can post them in the comments. You can email me. You can ask in class. Have a great night, guys.